Hello, friends. Welcome. Sail Happy Home. I'm happy to be here with you today on this Monday, August 3rd, 2026. Woke up and the AC's out. Ugh. But Douglas, he's been doing the Douglas thing, and, he's always got the right tool and the right experience, and he seems to always fix things that, you know, that I no way could fix if I tried, right? So, yeah, I'm pretty grateful for him about that. But that's not what I want to talk to you about today. Did you know that annually between 450 and 460,000 humans are murdered, intentionally murdered by other humans every year? That comes out to roughly one person a minute being killed, murdered in the world with intention, emotion, intention. Chimpanzees, those cute little fuzzy things that people think make great pets. We had one, they don't. Well, we had a monkey, they don't. They murder each other for purely emotional reasons, not survival. Intentionally, just like humans. They also rape. They commit infanticide, genocide, incest. They're incredibly icky, violent creatures. Just like humans. And humans don't just kill other humans needlessly. We harvest and murder defenseless creatures because we want to, not because we need to. A couple of examples now. Allergy season, I don't have my contacts in today, so you got to put up with the windshield. But I took couple of stats here. Let's see. Seals. Those baby seals with the big black eyes and the white fur. 500,000 per year are beaten to death and murdered by humans. And we don't need that. We don't need them for anything. We can survive without killing seals. That comes out to roughly 1,375 seals a day are murdered. And we murder them violently by choice, not survival. We also harvest and kill 15,900 metric tons daily, which comes out to 35 million tons if you're not on a metric system per day of tuna. Now, I bring up the tuna because recently there has been circulating online a video of a pod of orcas doing what orcas do to survive, which is kill other creatures to eat. And people are appalled. They're shocked. They're horrified. Some people, even the guys on the Ruthless podcast, if you're not familiar with him, give him a listen. Were shocked and horrified and calling for the death of orcas. But orcas, to humans, our perception is they're violent. They are primal, apex killing machines. That's how they survive. The shark, for example. People are shocked and appalled and rushing to GoFundMe and help what they call victims of shark attacks. But we don't have fins and gills. We don't belong in the water. If we're in the water for observation and learning, to lay cables for communication, for energy, we have wells out there in the ocean if we travel the ocean. But we don't have any right to judge the ocean. We don't have any right to judge orcas. And we certainly don't have any right to go fund me or feel bad for people that are attacked by sharks when in fact you're in their home and you're in their home and they're there and you choose to go there anyway. Those are bad humans. Like the ones that murder 450 to 460,000 other humans per year. I don't think that we are in any position to be calling for the extinction of orcas, and the extinction of orcas would cause irreparable harm to the environment. And I think we need to step back and look at ourselves in the mirror when people start, demanding the heads of creatures that are doing what they were born to do. And we need to start looking at ourselves, how hypocritical of us to, the general public running around enraged and shocked and horrified about a pot of orcas obliterating a tuna when tuna is a common food of theirs. When murderers are let out every day by bad judges to murder again. When chimpanzees murder for the hell of it and rape and commit infanticide, which is the vicious murder of babies to prevent families from thriving other than their own. So the hypocrisy is not lost on me, and I hope it's not lost on you either. And I hope that people are stepping back and trying to be reasonable with regard to the orcas. Leave the orcas alone. We don't belong there anyway. We don't understand their mind. We don't know what happened prior to that. We don't know what happened after that. And it's not our business. It's our business to be better humans. It's our business to look inward and stop pointing fingers at creatures that are defenseless to us and judge them when we handhold and coddle human murderers. When people think it's cute and funny to have chimpanzees in your home, I think it's shameless and disgusting and, quite frankly, infantile. And I was surprised that the Men on the Ruthless podcast would, be appalled by that. You need to step back and you need to look at this with reason and look at the bigger picture, which is they do what they do. However, they do it for survival. It's part of their survival instinct. But us going out and murdering for the hell of it, for emotion, like a chimpanzee, purely out of emotion, intentional emotional murder, you think that's okay? Because I don't. So I'm not going to go judging an orca for doing what orcas do. So it's perfectly acceptable for humans to murder lions, tigers, bears, oh my, if they hurt a human or they break into your dumpster or, they break in your house. For some reason, a dog bites a brat who is unsupervised by their parents and raised badly, a bad human, and they kill the dog, but they don't hold the human accountable. The hypocrisy is ridiculously high here. Why is it that we come up with any excuse at all to murder other creatures and each other, but we don't want to hold ourselves accountable? Have we become that arrogant that we're not holding ourselves accountable anymore? Accountability, lack of accountability is the crux of every problem that we have now. All of these rioters and Antifa and all of these agitators and rage baiters and so on, they're doing it because they think it's cute and funny, because they see it on TikTok and they think it's okay. And they don't believe they're ever going to be held accountable. And even when they are, it's temporary. They just get a pat on the bottom, a Capri Sun, and sent out the door by bad judges. So parents are not holding their kids accountable while they're raising those children. So they're not learning the value of holding yourself up, of self-respect, of respecting the law. Because if you're not held accountable, you don't care. People who are not held accountable for their actions are narcissists. They don't want to be held accountable for their actions. You can go online and you can hate people, political people, people of whatever religion or race. You can go online, you can hate all you want. And as long as you're not being held accountable, you're not going to look inward and change and make yourself better if it comes to light that your hatred is misguided. It's wrong. When I think about everything that's wrong with humanity and society right now, I can trace those thoughts all the way back to a simple thing: accountability. And those of us from generations who were held accountable, whether you thought it was brutal or not, whether you thought it was abuse or not, whether you thought it was cruel and unfair or not, we who got spanked, we who got grounded, we who were told to get a job at 11 years old, we who held our own and had some level of independence, we understood accountability. We understood right and wrong because we had the element of accountability in our lives as we were growing up and developing into rational, law-abiding adults. Those that are rioting and committing 450,000 murders every day, they've never been held accountable. And then when they get arrested, it's a waste of everybody's taxpayer dollars because the judges are just going to, say, no, bad murderer, and let them go. And fearing accountability is why people want prisons eliminated, why they want borders opened. Because they don't want to be the bad guy that holds somebody accountable. Accountability has become an ugly word. It's become an act of abomination, holding accountability, holding people accountable. It's okay to hold yourself accountable. Even the left, the liberals, self-appointed goddess Oprah said many, many years ago during a series of conversations that were taking place on her talk show about accountability and victimization and the victimhood, the victim mentality. And how ultimately, even if we are victims of horrific crimes or experiences, that does not negate the fact that we are responsible. We are accountable, and that's the exact word that she used, accountable, for our very existence here. We are accountable to ourselves, to our family, and to the world at large. Accountable to be the best that we can be for ourselves and everyone else. So, should the orcas be held accountable for doing what they do by orca nature? No. Because their actions are 1,000% based on survival alone. Did they obliterate that tuna to powder? Yes. Perhaps that wasn't their intention. Perhaps they were too enthusiastic. Perhaps it was accidental. Maybe they intended to kill it so that they could eat it, but they got too enthusiastic. Or maybe that tuna had some kind of, tracking device on it or something like that. And that's why it exploded like that. But I'm sure that they ate the various little pieces. So the next time we turn our judgment to creatures, non-human creatures who are doing what they are instinctually and intentionally hardwired to do, maybe we need to step back and realize that we're trying to displace our own accountability. They say people can't look in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror before you look at others. And that's true. What that means is that you need to hold yourself accountable for who you are, what you are, why you are, before you go judging others. And that includes orcas, chimpanzees, and tuna fish. 16,000 metric tons of tuna a day. We don't need that shit. We don't need tuna to survive. We do it just 'cause. But we don't need it to survive. So maybe you should leave the tuna to the orcas. Stop taking chimpanzees in as pets, because it will backfire on you badly. And start holding your children and your spouses and yourselves accountable for being the people that you want to be. Decent, dignified, respectable, law-abiding humans. And until next time, do good and be good.